In a faraway land, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Cinderella. Her home was a charming village, where life moved at a gentle pace and everyone knew their neighbors. Young Cinderella spent her early years in a modest chateau, its warm stone walls embraced by climbing roses and bathed in golden sunlight. Her days were filled with laughter and love, shared with a father who adored her. The day they arrived, a chill seemed to settle over the chateau, despite the warm summer air. Cinderella's new family brought with them an air of coldness that would soon permeate every corner of her once happy home. Before departing on his final journey, Cinderella's father knelt before her, his eyes twinkling with love and wisdom. "Have courage and be kind," he said, words that Cinderella would hold close to her heart in the years to come. In that moment, it was as if he knew the challenges that lay ahead for his beloved daughter. She'd hum softly to herself as she worked, her melody mingling with the chirping of friendly birds that visited her window. In these quiet moments, Cinderella found a peace that her stepfamily could never take away. With each sweep of her broom, Cinderella's dreams danced in the swirling dust motes, glimmering like stars in the soft morning light. In these quiet moments, she allowed herself to hope for a brighter future. With nimble fingers, Cinderella fashioned a small splint from twigs and cloth, her touch as light as a feather as she tended to her new friend. In this moment of kindness, Cinderella's true beauty shone brighter than any ball gown ever could. The prince, for whom this grand event was arranged, watched the preparations with a mixture of duty and hope. Little did he know that fate had something extraordinary in store for him. There stood Cinderella, transformed not just in appearance but in spirit. For in this moment, she truly believed that anything was possible. Outside, a pumpkin had become a magnificent carriage, and Cinderella's small animal friends were transformed into noble steeds. All was ready for her journey to the ball. As Cinderella prepared to leave for the ball, her heart swelled with gratitude and hope. She knew that this night would change everything, but the true magic lay not in her transformation, but in the strength and kindness of her own heart. With courage and grace, she stepped forward into a world of new possibilities. As night fell, Cinderella sat alone in the garden, tears glistening on her cheeks like dewdrops on rose petals. The moon hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the overgrown grass and tangled vines. Suddenly, a soft glow appeared, as if a star had descended from the heavens. In Cinderella's darkest moment, magic sparked to life. The fairy godmother materialized in a shimmer of starlight, her kind face smiling down at Cinderella. "My dear," she said, her voice as soft as a summer breeze, "your kindness has not gone unnoticed." With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. A humble pumpkin in the garden began to swell and transform, its orange skin melting into gleaming gold. Delicate filigree patterns etched themselves across the pumpkin's surface, forming intricate wheels and elegant doors. Tiny mice stretched and shifted, their fur lengthening into silky manes as they became proud horses. Their whiskers elongated, transforming into gleaming reins that sparkled in the moonlight. Cinderella's tattered dress shimmered and changed, threads of moonlight weaving themselves into a gown fit for a princess. Layers of gossamer fabric cascaded down, each fold catching the light like the surface of a calm lake. And on her feet, Cinderella's worn shoes dissolved, replaced by delicate glass slippers that sparkled with every step. Cinderella gasped softly, her eyes wide with wonder as she took in the magical transformation. But even the most powerful magic has its limits. The fairy godmother's voice was gentle yet firm as she reminded Cinderella of the midnight deadline. "Remember, my dear," she cautioned, "when the clock strikes 12, the spell will be broken." Cinderella nodded solemnly, the weight of the warning settling alongside the excitement in her heart. As the royal palace came into view, Cinderella's heart raced with excitement. The grand structure loomed before her, its windows aglow with the promise of a magical evening. As Cinderella entered the ballroom, it seemed as though time itself stood still. The grand doors swung open, revealing a scene of unparalleled splendor. If you want to support the channel and listen to the original stories through audiobooks, use the links in the description. Cinderella's heart fluttered like a caged bird as she took her first steps into this new world. Her glass slippers clinked softly against the marble. The prince, previously looking bored amidst the sea of faces, suddenly straightened, his eyes drawn to the mysterious newcomer. As their eyes met across the crowded room, a spark of recognition passed between them, as if their souls had known each other in a dream. The prince approached Cinderella, bowing deeply before her. "May I have this dance?" he asked, his voice soft with wonder. As they began to dance, the world around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the music and the magic of the moment. As Cinderella and the prince talked in the palace gardens, the cool night air carried the sweet scent of roses. "I've never met anyone quite like you," the prince confessed, his eyes shining with admiration. Cinderella blushed, her cheeks as pink as the dawn. "Nor I you," she replied softly. As midnight approached, Cinderella's dream began to crumble. She fled down the grand staircase, her glass slipper slipping from her foot in her haste. The prince called after her, confusion and longing mingling in his voice, but Cinderella couldn't turn back. As she ran, her gown began to fade, the magic unraveling with each step she took away from the palace. The final stroke of midnight rang out just as Cinderella reached her pumpkin carriage, now quickly shrinking back to its original form. In a blink, the magic was gone, leaving Cinderella once again in her tattered dress, surrounded by mice and a humble pumpkin. Back in her attic room, Cinderella sat alone, her torn dress a stark contrast to her earlier finery. The soft glow of dawn crept through the window, casting long shadows across the worn floorboards. The glass slipper in her hand seemed to whisper of dreams now fading. She held her remaining glass slipper, its cool surface a tangible reminder of a night that now seemed like a distant dream. A tear slid down her cheek, catching the light like a diamond before falling onto the slipper. In the quiet of the morning, Cinderella clung to the memory of a dream that seemed lost forever. Yet even in her sorrow, she found comfort in the gentle cooing of her bird friends. Among them was the little blue bird she had once nursed back to health, its wing now strong and whole, a testament to her kindness. As Cinderella gazed out at the distant palace, bathed in the soft light of dawn, she whispered her father's words, "Have courage and be kind." The next day, a royal proclamation echoed through the village square, carried on the crisp morning air. The prince, it seemed, was searching for the mysterious girl from the ball, armed with nothing but a delicate glass slipper. But fate, it seemed, had one more twist in store. Hope rekindled in Cinderella's eyes as she overheard the news while fetching water from the village well. The cool handle of the bucket in her hands grounded her, even as her heart soared with newfound possibility. At last, the day arrived. The sound of horses' hooves on the cobblestone drive sent Cinderella's heart racing. Despite her stepmother's attempts to hide her, locking her in the attic with a cruel twist of the key, Cinderella refused to give up. She called to her little mouse friends, their tiny paws scurrying to her aid, carrying the key back to her. In a moment of truth, all disguises fell away. Cinderella descended the stairs, her presence causing a hush to fall over the room. Every eye was drawn to her, the simple servant girl who carried herself with the grace of a princess. The prince's eyes widened in recognition, a smile spreading across his face like the sun breaking through clouds. With trembling hands, Cinderella sat down, extending her foot towards the awaiting glass slipper. A collective breath was held as the slipper slid onto her foot, fitting as perfectly as the last piece of a puzzle. In that moment, the truth of her identity was undeniable. The prince's face lit up with joy, his hand reaching out to clasp Cinderella's. As their fingers intertwined, it was as if the whole world fell away, leaving only the two of them. The room erupted in a mixture of gasps and cheers. The truth of Cinderella's identity sent ripples through the gathered crowd, changing the very air of the chateau. In that moment, a new chapter of her life began to unfold. And so, Cinderella's courage and kindness were rewarded, proving that even the humblest dream can come true. Cinderella's gown shimmered in the sunlight, rivaling the brilliance of her smile. The cheers of the crowd below rose up like a joyous song, celebrating not just a royal wedding, but the triumph of love and goodness. In this moment of triumph, Cinderella and her prince shared a look of pure love and understanding. It was clear to all who witnessed it that this was not just a royal union, but a true meeting of hearts and souls. As the camera panned out, the entire kingdom could be seen celebrating, a sea of joy and color. From the humblest village to the grandest city square, hearts were light and spirits high, for this was a day of magic and wonder, and they lived happily ever after.